this Rams versus St. Louis lawsuit and court proceedings where basically yesterday, so the NFL and the Rams, they failed to get the lawsuit thrown out. So the local judge denied the NFL's motion for summary judgment. So that's some legalese. But basically, what it now comes down to is two different options. And I was talking with local attorney Chet Pleben earlier. Also, Ben Fredrickson from the St. Louis Post-Dispatch has covered this really well. And I'll have a story on Fox 2 later tonight, probably about 5, 6 o'clock. And so you have two options now. You have a settlement, and you have potentially a trial that could start in January. So it makes you wonder, what's the monetary amount that St. Louis could get now that the NFL and the Rams have two options? It's either settle, so write that check, or put yourself out there in a courtroom where potentially your big dogs, your Stan Kroenkes, your Roger Goodells, your Jerry Joneses, I'm guessing a Kevin Demoff, are out there and could be grilled by an attorney. I wonder, this is my own opinion, I think that's talked about as the NFL's really scared of that. I really don't think they care that much. And I'm saying that because I think what they care about is the amount of money that they're going to have to pay. They know it's going to be a lot, and they probably knew it was going to be a lot that when they moved to L.A., there was a chance. There was a chance something like this could happen. And Stan Kroenke, what is he worth? $7-8 billion. He takes his franchise to L.A. It doubles in value. I hate to say this, but even if he has to cut a monster check to St. Louis, it's still worth it for him. It was worth it for him to move. And so I'm asking you fellas this. I just think there's a narrative of St. Louis is going to grill these guys, and they're so scared of this. I don't think they care. I think they're shameless. I mean, they hid CTE for how many years, right? To them, it's about money. They know their product is so good, they can crap on a couple markets. They can crap on St. Louis. They can crap on San Diego, Oakland, and hell, there's a lot of fans, me included, that would still take a team back. They know their product is that good. So what do you guys think in terms of those two potential options?
Well, I just think that, I agree. I agree with everything you just said, man. I think that they're just like whatever. They're on such a different level to where they can pick and choose, and they lose people here, they gain people in L.A. And L.A. is a bigger market. I mean, they're doing what they want to do, and we think he's evil. I just think that he's just being a businessman, and it's just everything's out in the open. I think he'll pay $1 trillion not to go under and get ridiculed. I think money's not an option. They'll just pay it off because they're going to make it back, my opinion.
Jimmy.
He's a piece of garbage, okay?
I like that.
Okay, but here's the thing. St. Louis left that little thing in the contract that left the door open for this whole thing. So we have no one to blame but ourselves for giving that option, just leaving the crack in the door. Everybody was all happy with one another when you signed the contract, and yeah, great, they're here. They'll never go back. Yeah, sure, we'll leave a little thing in there that says, if the building's not up to speed, you can move. You left it in there. That's the one thing I always goes back to me. As far as this whole lawsuit, it's all the money. Okay, great. I don't have any faith that the people that are in charge of where the money goes can figure it out. For me, and again, you're going to say this is hypocritical, but for me, the only thing that I go, okay, I can deal with that is an expansion team.
That's what I want.
That's what I want.
All right.
Give me a team back because, as you just said, Charlie, we still like the product. We still watch the games. We still talk about it all the time. So give me a team back. And because, look, money's great and maybe it could help some people, but they'll screw that up because the people in charge can't balance a budget anyway.
There you go. How does that work, though, Charlie? Or Jimmy, how does that work? Like, how do you present that next option? Like, okay, fine, let's give it. How do you do that?
I really don't know how that's going to work itself out. I mean, do they just write down and sit down with some notes and go, okay, we'll give you an expansion team, we'll give you X amount of dollars for a stadium.
Yep, draw it all out.
You got to find an owner who has some jack that we can accept and go from there.
Right. And just so everybody knows, this is a fun topic on Sports Talk Radio. It's fun on Twitter. No, I'm being serious. I'm saying this specific part of it. I just don't think that's likely whatsoever. And I'm talking with Chet Pleben, the attorney, and I even asked the question in an almost joking manner because I think sports fans, we think that way. You never know down the road, but I do think that outcome from this specific lawsuit is not very likely whatsoever, even though it's fun to talk about. Here's another thing that I find very, very interesting, though, that Chet Pleben brought up to me, is the fact that let's say the Rams and the NFL lose, okay?
Yep.
That they lose. And Chet Pleben, I don't want to totally speak for him, but I'm going to put his whole interview out there on YouTube. It's about 12 minutes. So you can hear exactly what he said. But he thinks the Rams, the NFL, are going to settle. And I was talking with Ben Fred. Ben Fred, he thinks it's going to go to a trial. I think it's more likely to be settled also, but who knows? Here's something interesting, though, that Chet Pleben was telling me. Okay, so Stan Kroenke, when he said we're gonna move the Rams from St. Louis to L.A., part of his agreement with the NFL was also if we incur lawsuits, legal situations, so on and so forth, guess who's on the hook for that? Stan Kroenke. Yep. That was part of the agreement. Yep. So here's an interesting twist that would be kind of funny. Is if, let's say there's a settlement, let's say it goes to court, and let's say whatever the amount is, you could have Stan Kroenke taking an L in the courtroom. You could have Stan Kroenke taking an L in the settlement, and then you could actually have the Rams being sued, Stan Kroenke and the Rams being sued by the NFL for all of these finances because, again, Stan Kroenke, when he moved the team, part of that agreement was he was going to incur the legal fees and all of the negativity, basically, that the NFL would be a part of due to this move.
What do you think of that?
Well, then what?
I'll let you go first.
I mean, then what?
Well, look, you're not going to get the team back, and that's my whole point here. Okay, the Rams already left. You're not going to get the Rams back. We probably won't get an expansion franchise, and if that happens, okay, could it be 20 years from now? So look, the Rams got what they wanted.
Yeah, they did.
St. Louis lost their football team. We're sad about that. I mean, we've moved on a little bit, but this lawsuit has brought it back to the forefront. But you know what? If Stan Kroenke, right? But if Stan Kroenke is going to have to make a big check and then also get sued by the NFL, I think that would be kind of funny. And again, it doesn't matter. This dude, he's in a different stratosphere. Okay, if you're on the Forbes list, $7-8 billion.
He doesn't give a damn. How about this? Where are those bad boys at? What about the Battlehawks? Bring some pure entertainment back. Are they coming back at all? Is that going to be?
So that's next year. That's what we think.
That's look, fine. The city gets money, fine, cool, and it's going to go to so many weird different places. No one's even know it even happened. And then maybe Kroenke gets a little bit of this, and maybe he gets chirped here and there, fine. But then what? Where are the Battlehawks at? Like we need something. Like, I'd love to have a team. You guys brought up the team, having an expansion team. Like, that seems way out of line, but that would be unbelievable to have another football team here. But if the Battlehawks, that's the next thing that everybody could take this and, like, just put their attention to. They were fun as hell.
100%. And I agree with you. Look, the Battlehawks are awesome. St. Louis SC, the soccer team coming here in a couple of years, awesome.
Yeah, man,
you still, though, if you could be, you want to be an NFL city. You do want to be an NFL city.
I agree with that.
Another part of this, by the way, and we'll kind of move past Stan Kroenke, because, again, that dude, he's going to be a billionaire no matter what.
He's going to die a billionaire, dude.
Right, whether that's 6, 7, 8, 9, okay. To him, I think what's interesting about this story, though, is that moving forward, so look at what's going on with Buffalo. Buffalo is now in a similar situation as St. Louis was 5, 7, 8 years ago, where they're trying to get a new stadium built, and okay, you're talking, San Antonio and other places they could potentially move. Well, it's pretty funny and ironic from the NFL's perspective. If they're basically arguing in court that their relocation guidelines don't mean anything. So think about that, because what did we hear 5, 7, 8 years ago? Didn't we hear
it's all about the guidelines?
The relocation guidelines were ironclad, right? It was like something biblical that was on a stone tablet. Isn't that kind of ironic, Jim and Cam, that 5, 7, 8 years ago, it was all about the relocation guidelines. Here now in court, the Rams and the NFL are arguing that those relocation guidelines don't mean anything. Well, what are you doing if you're Buffalo and you're reading that? If you're Buffalo and you're following this story, that's another part of this. there's precedent moving forward with how the NFL has to handle any other situation that arises like St. Louis, i.e. Buffalo, Jacksonville, if they're trying to go to London, if they're trying to go to Mexico City, if they're trying to move another franchise in the future.
Mexico City. Ooh,
they have games down there already.
They got rocked by an earthquake. That place is very unstable if you do the research on how that whole city is. But no, you're right on that. I don't know, man. And Buffalo packs the house every single night. Don't they bring in revenue every night, even if they're terrible?
Their fans are pretty rabid. I mean, they got great fans.
Aren't they?
It's not,
look at them.
Their fans are not the problem. They're just trying to extort people for money to get a stadium. And the Pagulas, look, they have tons of money. They own
Are they cheap,
Buffalo.
Jimmy? Are they cheap?
You know what? I think they're not real good at running sports franchises. They've run the Buffalo Sabres into the ground.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah.
They've built Buffalo back to a winner right now with the people they have there. But what was it? Not long ago, and part of this was pandemic, and part of it was an excuse, I think, too. They just cut people left and right in both of their organizations, and people are like, yeah, well, it's been a crappy organization to begin with, but the way they were doing it was pretty ruthless.
Right. I think what's interesting, though, is that the NFL used L.A. for 20 years to get so many more stadiums built in so many different markets. That's why I'm not gonna crush people here in St. Louis for not realizing, me included sometimes, for what the Rams actually did. Because for 20 years, they used this exact same leverage play to get 4, 5, 6 other beautiful stadiums built in Minnesota and other markets, and it was a leverage play. So a lot of folks thought that was the similar situation with St. Louis, another leverage play to get a brand new stadium for Stan Kroenke. Now, clearly, that was not the case, but fellas, if you're Buffalo, and you know that for 20 years it was a leverage play, and then it became, no, it's an actual move. The St. Louis Rams became the Los Angeles Rams again. If you're Buffalo, and you're Buffalo's version of Peacock and Blitz, and you're the city, are you going to go through all of the renderings and the plots of land, right? And you're going to hire marketing firms and design firms knowing that St. Louis did the exact same thing, and it didn't even matter what the rules were?
Probably not. I don't know why you would. Right?
I don't even think they're leaving, though, but I do think the NFL is opening themselves up to, there's just a lot of hypocrisy moving forward if they ever try to pull this again in Jacksonville, what they're doing in Buffalo, et cetera.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the things. When the Rams left, and you brought this up, I was wondering, okay, who's the next L.A., meaning who's the next city that the NFL is going to play up against to go, okay, that's our threat.
London.
Yep, London. And I think that's going to go it's put on hold right now because of the pandemic and the world we live in right now. They can't afford to go play games over in London. And
does that even do anything anyway? I mean, does it? When I was over in London, no one's talking about the NFL football.
Oh,
They're
dude.
talking about
but the difference is you got to think about TV money, TV deals. That's one of the things with the NFL. The reason that this is a huge local story, it is not a huge national story. Why do you think that is? Because the NFL, they have TV partnerships with every single network. They're very smart about that. By the way, they spread it out. NBC gets Sunday Night Football. ESPN, ABC gets Monday Night Football. You got the Fox package. You got the CBS package on Sundays. You got NFL Network, which is literally owned by the NFL. If you're those TV partners and you carry the games, right, are you going to be Mr. Investigative Reporter with a story that, okay, it's a St. Louis story. They care about it. Does anybody else really care about it? Is it going to tick off the NFL? Yes. They're bought and paid for.
I can't disagree with any of that.
If I'm an NFL player, though, I'm like, oh, cool, I'm going to London to play. Yeah, 10-hour trip. Oh, that's fun. Can't wait to do that. That kind of sucks. I don't know.
That's the one.
I think they like it more in Canada than over in Britain.
Yeah, that's the one thing I don't think I would even think about if I was a player. To you, what you brought up there, Cam, is let's say there's free agency. You can go play in the London team. You go, why would I want to do that?
Why the hell would you want to do that? I love it over there. Don't get me wrong, but
right?
No
I got to
way.
move my whole family.
Wait, what?
We got a plane trip every time we play.
Even living there, my wife's listening right now. even living there, setting up everything to make money and this, that, and the other. And I know you have people doing it, but it's a pain in the ass.
Yes.
And I have so much clothes over there that I could be wearing tonight, Charlie Marlow, although they're 6 years old. They're just sitting there. Somebody's wearing them right there, enjoying. I have a lot of stuff over there still because it's too much of a pain in the ass to bring it back. No, I wouldn't want to play over there. No way in hell.
That's where, look, free agents don't want to play in Green Bay.
I know.
Because of the weather. They don't want to play in Cleveland because of the weather.
I know.
Okay? So imagine, hey, you have to go play. You played at Alabama. You played at Ohio State. Oh, you're going to go play in London now. You don't even get to live in the same country you grew up in. Oh, you're going to go play in Mexico City. You're going to go live there. I can totally get why people are like, I don't want to do that. I want to live in America.
I said this the other day. No one cares if you're big over in Britain. No one cares if you're big in Canada. No one cares. They care if you're big in the United States. If you're in London, you're barely even getting talked about here. Like, it's just like, that cool, you get that market. You want to be as big as you can in the United States if you're an athlete, no matter what, especially in football. I mean, soccer's different. We're not talking about soccer. But NFL, like, you want to be right in the heart of something where you get the attention. You're doing all the work. You're in London. I don't know. I just... No way in hell. It doesn't make sense.
But that's why, even though it puts them in a very precarious spot, the NBA prints money because of China, right? And they're able to spend $50 million a year on their top free agents and keep those guys because they have an international game with an international TV package. And that's the whole deal. Is again, you're getting all the Mexican TV stations, right? Packages to broadcast those games. Same in London. You're getting all those different European TV stations to carry the games. That's where all that money comes from. You're just opening up new revenue streams everywhere you go.